Welcome back, everyone, to the mid-season Showdown Grand Final. Team Liquid and Cloud9 have both showed up to play today. The series currently stands tied at 1-1, and both games have been absolute bangers thus far.
Man, it has been so tightly contested. A lot of predictions had TL rolling over today, getting crushed by a Cloud9 who beat them before with their main jungler. They're coming into today with a sub, people looking at them as underdogs, and they are really stepping up to the challenge, being able to deliver some very, very competitive games.
And both games haven't just been, okay, this game they stomped, now this game they stomped. Both times have seen moments of strength, moments of cohesion from both squads. And the fact that they're able to just go blow for blow like this, I just feel like we're watching one of those boxing matches. Everybody's just a slugfest back and forth for the whole 15 rounds, man.
Man, I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the different takes on how to draft as well. You know, Cloud9 came out the gates, early game, trying to run over TL. Didn't work. They open up some split push picks for TL to ban out some of the early game stuff and change it up a bit. And they go hard engage. Both times they have been wanting to really be the ones that are the aggressors, but in different ways. And in game 2, the split push did not pan out for TL. So again, we have to go back to the drawing board here. What are the takeaways from the teams? Does TL still go to the split push if it is open? Are they going to look for a more standard 5v5 and just try to answer what we saw C9 bring to the table last game? Because I think there are just so many different looks that you could be seeing coming out of these teams, and it's got to be a headache for the coaches trying to prep for game 3.
And that makes it so much more fun to watch, though. I love seeing these changes. I love seeing the adaptations being made. I think especially for fans, it's one of the most frustrating things to watch a series where not enough changes feel like they're being made in between the games. So let's see which changes occur this time around. It will be very different because Team Liquid is on the blue side. This will be the first time this series we get to see that. So let's see what switches up here. Cloud9 will continue to ban Seraphine away. Hecarim banned out here for the first time this series. So we will not see Hecarim Udyr as the matchup. Also, just a lot of focus on the jungle in general. It's Hecarim, it's Nidalee, it's Lilia. All banned out here. Do you leave Olaf and Udyr both up? That's the question.
I mean, it's a little bit of a game of chicken, right? I think if TL ban one, C9 will ban the other. If they want to make a trade, they could just leave both up, right? And I think that's more likely to be the option unless TL really have some sort of thought process of where they're really going to go next. My guess is Cloud9 does not ban another jungler and you just trade unless they're saying, no. You're not going to play Olaf. We'll ban out Udyr. We'll force you to take Olaf or give it over to Blabber, who is a beast on it.
Right. Could be. 10 seconds will tell, though. Let's see. Tahm Kench.
Ooh, so they say no Senna TK. Okay. And this is pretty interesting. The focus on double AP junglers, what that says to me is Cloud9, we think you will pick an AD solo lane as your counter pick. And by banning out the AP counterparts, it would force you into more of like a mono damage type composition, so that limits your options. And that's one of the ways you can attack that. If you're like, ooh, Perks, what if he goes for a last pick Yone or Lucian or something like that? If you take away all the AP pairings and you overload an AD, that's much easier for TL to answer. So I think it's a clever way to limit some of the choices that C9 are faced with.
I just realized why you're the analyst and I'm the play-by-play, because you saw those jungle bans and you thought that. I saw those jungle bans and I thought they all have 4 legs. So just a little bit of a difference between how we interpreted the banning strategy of junglers here, but it is Udyr locked into the side of Team Liquid. Armeo will be playing that one.
I thought you were going a different direction.
Nope, I was going for the 4-legged junglers as Rel is locked in for C9. That Rel Kai'Sa, you talked about it in Champ Select in game number 2. That is a powerful duo.
That is the dynamic duo there. I expect Cloud9 will go towards Olaf as third pick, but if TL lock in a solo here, you can get double solo lane counter pick because you can pick with your third pick a solo lane to answer and then also still have your 5th pick for the other solo lane to answer. The risk there is Blabber getting pushed down the list as far as the powerful jungler.
Yeah.
So that is the trade-off. Orianna coming through, hey, Perks, you can counter pick this now, but with all these jungle bans, are you willing to have Blabber get pushed down the list?
Yeah, you have to think that if Blabber's jungler does not get locked in now as an Olaf, that Olaf will probably be banned away during the second phase. We do have Orianna locked in. We do have Gangplank locked in. Both solo lanes picked up here for Team Liquid before the second half of the bans, despite the fact that they already know what the enemy bottom lane is.
It's kind of cool because by doing this, you can't actually get the double counter pick as easily. Yes, you could do one of the solo lanes to answer, but then you can throw out bans to protect that. This is also an interesting pick here because
it's a flex.
Where is it going? Yeah. This could be mid, top, or jungle, theoretically. In pro play, it has been mostly jungle as well as top, with a tendency towards top these days.
Right.
But we still have seen some in pro play mid lane Nocturne. So really interesting as the answer. And if you get now an overload on jungle bans, you just say, all right, Blabber, that's you.
Yeah.
They wasted their bans now.
Don't worry about it. I do like the focus again here because in the last game you talked about how, hey, Tactical wants to survive against all this dive and this wombo combo, ban Xayah away. Now they're saying, look, we got Rel, Kai'Sa, Nocturne. We don't want to deal with Xayah. We don't want to deal with her going invulnerable and untargetable and up into the air, so get rid of it. Twisted Fate now banned out as well. I like them recognizing, hey, Nocturne plus TF, that's too much. Take that out of the table.
If they want to look towards pairings as well, you could be concerned about Shen. The risk there as Cloud9 is you're picking a bad matchup into Alphari. So you have to really be indexing on the actual combination more than the lane matchup. And you have to say, all right, you're going to take the L in the 1v1, but we're going to get it back with bot lane dives or that sort of play. So we'll see, is TL worried about that whatsoever? Or is Cloud9 even considering it? It will be the Rise, another side lane style pick. They are saying, all right, you're going to go Nocturne, you're going to pair it with a split pusher, and you're going to punish anyone who answers in a 1v1. And I think that is a smart read here from TL. If we get Karma, that's Karma top. So it's Karma into GP. This is a good matchup for Fudge. And already, with that coming in, this is Cloud9 going 5v5. The last pick will tell us exactly if this is mid or jungle, but I'm very much willing to bet this is a jungle Nocturne. Perkz will go for counter pick mid, whatever he thinks is good for the lane, but also for the 5v5. Because as soon as you get Karma, you're going to be going towards that supportive style. You're going to be buffing up the Kai'Sa and trying to run over the game. So TL, anticipating that, will draft teamfight of their own. Scaling bot laner, Thresh, a lot of utility to actually pull people away from the Nocturne ult. One of the few answers immobile carries actually have to Nocturne ult is your Thresh saving you. And it's going to be Victor as the answer. So really interesting stuff. More traditional style of 5v5 with more of a powerful frontline with the Udyr here for TL. But C9 have good 5v5 and they have backline access because you can send in the Rel plus the Nocturne into the backline. Victor has some backline access with the ultimate and the laser, but really it's about the Kai'Sa coming in over top. It's about the shielding from the Karma, enabling those carries to dive deep and really try to pile on top of people like the Orianna, like the Aphelios, to eliminate them in a team fight.
This definitely feels much more team fight centric from both sides than what we've seen previously. The previous two games both showed just a bit of a difference in how they were playing. Like the first game was all early versus big scaling. Second game was split push versus team fight. Now here in game 3, feels like we've had a bit more of a handshake. They're saying, all right, we're going to team fight, you're going to team fight. Who does it better?
There's a little bit of splash of difference here and there, more of a diving style of composition for C9. There is a hint of split push with the GP. If he gets ahead of the Karma, who is building that supportive style, you can win the 1v1. But of course, you have to then worry about the Nocturne, about the 2v1, about getting collapsed on in the side lane, which limits how effective GP can be at taking towers because you're often exposing yourself to that Nocturne ult then later on in the game. So this is going to be pretty exciting stuff here from both sides. The engage, definitely a lot less reliable on the side of TL. It's a hook or it's, you know, GP ult on their head and Udyr, you run in there fast and someone. That's about it. So they have to more kite back and answer the engage from C9. And if they can do that, they can win out in the extended fight.
And I like having Nocturne against Gangplank, not just for collapsing on the split push, but if you start the play off with Paranoia, Gangplank's going to look like me playing Valorant. He's not going to know where to put the gun. He'll shoot that thing somewhere out the window, and it won't even contribute properly.
Yeah.
So the ability for Nocturne to really try to deny some of these globals and semi-globals and things, I think is super important. It's something that falls through the cracks sometime, and we'll keep an eye on what Blabber can do with that here. In the jungle, he does have Lethal Tempo as his keystone.
Yep.
Remember, this used to be like the staple keystone on Nocturne because you would just allow you to win pretty much every duel. With the tankier builds these days, with Stride Breakers, Sterix Gauges, things like that, a lot of people are opting into a Conqueror instead, but Lethal Tempo is just incredible damage.
I actually like the Lethal Tempo more personally, having played a lot of this style of Nocturne. I think it's really, really powerful. It also does help you in the 1v1s if you actually are forced into any sort of a 1v1 against the opposing jungler. Is very powerful there. But, you know, you talk about that tankier style of Nocturne. It's less about one-shotting someone. It's more about the stickiness. It's hard to get away. The Nocturne flies in, Fear Tether on you, Stride Breaker slow, the Q for the speed up. Sometimes even if you flash, you're still going to get feared and just kind of ran down.
He's such a difficult target, and he provides so much ongoing threat to the enemy carries that he's diving onto. But enough about him for now. Let's take a look at this bot lane. I feel like almost all the time when we see a champion like Aphelios drafted, Thresh is just one of the go-tos for him. Because his intended weakness is, hey, if he's caught out, he's just 100% dead. Thresh tries to alleviate that a little bit. The lanterns that you already talked about can try to help keep him safe from these Nocturne dives. And just Thresh against melee champions in general feels very strong.
Absolutely. Can be really, really difficult to actually push forward through the box. Some pretty nice trading there from Perch, definitely getting the better end of that back and forth, but it does start to even out as the minion damage is coming across. And because Tactical and Core JJ did not leash, they got the early push, and it means Sven and Vulcan are on the back foot right from the word go. So you can see the farm discrepancy. It's going to be about how much Sven can actually pick up at his tower. And Alphari really playing in those side brushes very effectively. Trying to utilize those to minimize how many auto attacks Karma can get out to utilize that range advantage. Because GP wants this quick trade. He wants to walk up to you, Q you with the grass proc, back it up. You don't want the extended trade with the tether and multiple autos coming in. So utilizing the brushes is a big part of that. Yeah, the Gangplank trading pattern has pretty much, ever since his rework, just been prime yourself with prime your Grasp the Undying on the minion wave. As soon as it's ready, Q, you're done. That's it. That's the trade. Don't worry about it. So using those bushes, so very important for that success. And Armeo and Blabber are going to find one another. Here's Lethal Tempo. Here's what Lethal Tempo looks like. Immediately pop, pop. Win the trade, fall back a little bit. He knows that rotations could be occurring here. Alphari, the first one that would have arrived to the scene, so doesn't want to overextend too much. Winning that duel actually very important as well, because you'll notice how much faster the Udyr clear is. He did a 6-camp clear and showed up at the same time as Blabber did a 5-camp clear to show up. He didn't actually get to do the Krug, so he was down a level. If you were not winning out in that initial scuffle, then you're going to be extra far behind because you are going to get pushed off the scuttle. He'll be 2 camps ahead. This does even it out. He's going to take a quick base and then get back out on the map to be able to grab his Gromp respawn here. So see where he takes us from there.
Yeah, it's really hard to keep up with Udyr in the jungle, even for some champions that normally have a pretty solid clear. Udyr is just one of those S-tier farmers that can power through all those camps, make sure he's keeping the tempo of the game high. Going back to the base, already buying the completed Ionian Boots of Lucidity, so extra move speed there for him. Blabber didn't have quite enough money. Again, as you pointed out, he was a camp behind when he went to shop, so he'll just go with the tier 1 boot as well as the longsword there, working towards that Stride Breaker like we already talked about a little bit. Sheen available for Alphari on his first back. So important for Gangplank to make sure you purchase that one ASAP. Increases his ability to farm, increases his ability to trade. Exponential.
Absolutely. And because Alphari TP'd back in on the minion, Fudge has to get the wave pushed in before he can actually base or will be frozen. So that's what he's trying to do, using the Mantra Q there on the back line, shoving it in. There's too many minions now. Alphari tried his best to contest. And this actually puts Fudge pretty far ahead because you TP'd back and you fought where you're trading half of your health with your opponent, who is then going to base and refill to full, right? So this is an advantageous position for Fudge. He should be ahead in the early game in this matchup. We have Armeo now on the hunt, trying to get some intel on where Blabber is. But he just went back up towards the top side to get to those Krugs. And he's actually going to cancel the recall. They're going to look for a wraparound because Alphari is trying to reset.
Up. Fudge has already auto-attacked the barrel. Fudge walking up here, keeping him locked down with a tether. Duskbringer will hit the target. And Blabber goes in with a spell shield. 3, times in a row, it is first blood for Cloud9 in the top lane.
They're doing such a good job of actually managing the waves and putting Alfari in these awkward positions. Because of what I talked about earlier, where you are the person who TP'd back, you are TPing in to trade with someone who hasn't left, and this is not going to work, Armeo. You got to be careful.
Oh, no, Armeo is locked down. Fudge picks up the second kill of the game here for C9. Armeo, that was not it.
Well, rule number 1 in League of Legends, never chase Singed. Rule number 2, never chase Top Karma, because you're going to get tethered up, and you are going to look silly. And Armeo trying to hold the wave, trying to freeze, trying to get something back, that to me smelled a little bit like desperation, knowing that Alfari got punished, but this is just such a smart series of plays, you know? Fudge getting the reset in, trading heavily before he goes back to base. Alfari says, all right, I need to get a quick reset now because I lost out so much on this trade. So he tries to push, but Fudge then faked his base. Blabber wraps around, easy peasy first kill. And now Blabber is 6 with a kill in the bag. Look at all the CDR he grabbed. His ultimate's gonna have such a low cooldown, which is gonna allow him to get out on the map and really be proactive with it. That is why he's prioritizing Kindle Gem plus Lucidity Boots.
Yeah.
He knows it's about the ulti because the play pattern you want for Nocturne is AFK farm, ulti comes up, kill somebody, back to farming.
Yeah, every single time. Because that ulti has a huge cooldown, but now he's already arrived here in the bottom lane. A nice use of Lantern will keep Tactical safe, and Team Liquid survives the first knock ult.
Blabber tried to anticipate the Lantern there and flash, but he was a little bit too slow, so the Fear Tether was broken before the flash came through. Unfortunately for him, it means it's a whiff on that. At the very least, it was a trade of flashes, but of course, you would have preferred to just get the flash for ulti.
Well, Team Liquid are pretty happy about that one. Again, what I was about to say before the play happened, Nocturne ulti at level 1 has a borderline summoner spell level cooldown. It takes a while for that thing to come back online. So that just means a little bit of breathing room here for TL. And the first Drake that will go their way here. 7.5 minutes into the game. They'll grab that one. Doesn't look like we'll see any sort of a contest here from the side of C9. So there it is. Infernal Drake over to Team Liquid here nice and early as Jensen is forced away from the wave thanks to Perkz unloading the full combo.
Yeah, it's the Victor classic in this matchup. Almost always you will see the Victor utilizing the ulti to just get push, to be able to threaten. Tries to stop the base a little bit too late on the laser cooldown there. I think he didn't quite have it until just that moment. One thing I will say is you may be surprised how quick the Nocturne ulti is up because most of the time you see first Nocturne R, they're sitting on long swords. They got no CDR.
True.
I mean, look at his cooldown. It's almost up already, which I think will catch people off guard because he had all that CDR prior to the first one, and they're trying to set up for a 3-man dive top, but Armeo is there. CoreJJ is on the rotation.
Ooh, CoreJJ with the death sentence.
No
Exhaust
flash.
down into Blabber. Jensen's going to be brought in. Shockwave hits the mark, and Blabber, see you later, buddy. Nice job by Team Liquid.
That is the punish for the bot lane play, where he expended the flash, trying to keep the tether on tactical, failed to do so. Now you got no flash to actually flash that shockwave that was coming through there from Jensen. So nicely done by TL. CoreJJ on the roam, catches Blabber out there, gets the kill. That'll also get them the Rift Herald here, as he had the vision for a moment, anticipated the movement, Lantern over to Jensen. This is just beautiful stuff. And the Sombrero Shockwave there was perfectly placed. They got the spell shield out. They knew he has no flash. If you land that, you get the kill, and they're able to do it.
C9 giving up their first kill of the game here, but still having a very, very slight gold lead. Not even 100, you can see as the numbers slowly tick up at the very top of the screen. Blabber will still have enough control here to grab himself another Scuttle Crab, but despite the crab control, it's still Armeo with higher farm numbers because he's Udyr. That's just one of the advantages you have by playing this champion. Back here in the bottom lane, you can see it's about a 2-wave lead for Tactical, who's doing a good job farming up on Aphelios to be that late-game carry that Team Liquid drafted him for.
I mean, their 2v2 was looking really good. They've also taken 2 plates away while being the ones to receive a gank. That is pretty impressive stuff. They did not leash, they got the push right from the get-go, and they threatened very heavily with this Thresh. And I mean, CoreJJ is so well known for his Thresh at this point. When you look towards solo queue, you know, last I checked, he was sitting at like an 80-90% win rate on Thresh. It's
what in the world?
Pretty ridiculous how good this guy is on the champion. So
And worth pointing out, Core JJ is not one of the players who doesn't play a lot of solo queue, so he's at 89% win rate in Masters, Masters or whatever.
He's like 1K LP or whatever.
Core JJ is consistently either number 1 or number 2 on the challenger ladder. So he's doing this with these 80% win rates against the best players on the server.
Yeah, it's pretty insane, and he is showing the advantage that he can bring here, pressuring the Kai'Sa, pressuring the Rel. He brings the exhaust to the table here to be able to answer the inevitable Nocturne dives that will be going after Tactical, and that's going to make Blabber's job a lot harder here too.
C9 backing it up. Doesn't want to put themselves in a bad spot here in the bottom lane. Armeo, with about half the time remaining on Rift Herald, decides, all right, let's just drop it mid. 2 plates about the best we're going to get, so we might as well get the damage onto that mid lane tier 1 turret. Again, if you get back-to-back Rift Heralds, you can kill 90% of mid lane turret just with 2 charges, and mid lane often being that one that is the most difficult to remove. I like the fact that they're saying if it's only going to be 2 plates, it might as well be on mid.
Yep, and Jensen had done a good job pressuring. He had already taken a play off of that tower, so that second Herald would be a guaranteed mid lane kill there. Nocturne ulti.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he lost vision. If we get a replay, that would be pretty cool to actually see if he lost vision there when he popped the ulti, or if this was something of a defensive ult, if he expected there was some sort of incoming play. My guess is he popped it right with Jensen on the edge of vision and lost vision, or said, he's too close to the tower, we can't do it.
Well, we might be able to get a replay for that one. We'll see here in just a moment. Back up in the top side, farm staying even between the Gangplank and the Karma. You can see the lost chapter in Fudge's inventory here for a little bit of extra mana, a little bit of extra laning strength, but that is not an ingredient for the Moonstone
Oh, that's
maneuver.
exactly what it was.
Okay.
Right on the very edge. And that hurts. And that's why often you'll see Nocturnes post level 9 actually go blue trinket, so that exactly doesn't happen. I mean, that looks silly, but that is like a millimeter away from actually being in range, and maybe you get a kill or force a flash, so understandable. But TL laying a trap. C9 did not know that they were spotted. Now they know they're spotted, so they got to back it up a bit here. Thankfully, again, for Blabber, he does have a lot of CDR with the early builds, so it's not going to hurt as much as it otherwise would have. But the Lost Chapter is important because that means no Moonstone, right? This is not a Moonstone build. This is going to be a different variation of that. We'll see where he wants to go.
Somebody check on LS, make sure he's okay.
My guess is it's maybe something like Everfrost. I mean, it could just be a Ludens, but seeing that the Ruby Crystal is in there, I'm thinking it's Everfrost.
Well, only time will tell what we've got. We also can see the Lost Chapter here for Victor and Orianna both in the mid lane, so whether or not they go for more offensive options or for the utility of the Everfrost, we'll see on that too. Armeo picks up the Drake, second Drake of the game here for Team Liquid. And for the first time in this series, we will not see a Cloud Soul. It is Ocean Soul on the table in the Team Fight Comp versus Team Fight Comp game.
Yeah, that's a big deal, especially when you are over on the side of TL. You're the team that's going to get more benefit out of this because you have the tanky jungler, you got the Udyr. Udyr as well as Thresh are going to be pretty tanky in that front line. Ocean Soul can make a big difference in those cases. And they're the ones pressing forward. They're going to be feeling really good about how things are going. The fact that you actually have a gold lead this early on with a very powerful scaling comp, with a more traditional front to back that is going to be easier to execute on.
Do they really want to go all the way here? Doesn't look like it. They'll just clear out some of the wards. Armeo just making his presence known, staying active on the map, getting close enough to the lanes to keep Cloud9 aware of the fact that he might just be lurking and make them think twice every time they want to push up too far. Jungle farm still remains slightly in the favor of Armeo, who did just back for the Kim tank. Blabber gets pulled over the wall with a dash, and he has to flash back out. Beautiful timing from TL.
Yeah, the positioning there from Core JJ just too good. He's over the wall, out of vision, so they don't know that Thresh is there. They think they've caught Tactical out by himself, and
whoa! And there's the second flash off of this play that Cloud9 themselves tried to make in the bottom lane.
I mean, this is starting to feel like bot diff game. This is really Tactical and Core JJ in their element. 2 ultis have gone down there that have gotten them absolutely nothing. Nice triple barrel. They're going for Fudge.
Fudge in trouble, flashing away, trying to stay alive, but TL does not care. They grab themselves the first kill, but with the TP showing up, it might just turn into the 2-for-1 special. Perks is trying to run away. He has to flash. Team Liquid taking over this game.
They're really starting to run away with it a bit here. The Nocturne has not been effective. A great kill up on that top side. Set it up, triple barrel slow. The damage coming through. followed up with the ultimate slow. Fudge just couldn't create enough space to actually get away from this chem tank Udyr, who's flying on in. Look at the difference between Sven and Tactical. 1,000 gold lead there on the Aphelios. Ooh. If C9 can't start finding some picks in the side lanes, getting more out of this Nocturne, it's going to start going more and more in the favor of TL. I mean, this is their second Herald. They've got both Dragons. They have the gold lead. It's really looking good for them.
And they can just dunk mid lane with that Herald if they want to. Like we pointed out before, Blabber's going after his red buff now. He'll be able to secure that one before Team Liquid moves in and gets anything done. Also want to point out, Alfari with the Divine Sunder here on Gangplank has that completed, and that's part of what gets them the damage they need for plays like this.
Really nice triple barrel, really well-placed ult. You notice the very edge of the ultimate is right just barely touching Fudge, so it's the full space of that ulti you actually have to run through. You're going to be slowed the entire time. Can't actually even flash across it. Perks TP'd early. Fudge was already dead, so it just cost him both summoners to actually get out alive.
And Fudge does have that Everfrost, and yes, that's super effective against a champion that has to run up to you with no gap closers like an Udyr, but when you're already too far out, when you got the Gangplank ulti behind you, it will not be enough. So Fudge getting punished there, 2-2. Kills are all tied up. The Rift Herald's been summoned over the wall, and it looks like bye-bye C9 mid lane turret, and with that final piece of the puzzle picked up, Team Liquid has cleared out all 3 of the tier 1s of Cloud9. C9 will be able to respond at least by grabbing the tier 1 turret of Team Liquid here in the bottom lane, but it's still TL leading in all the metrics. 2-0 in the Drakes, 3-1 in the turrets. Kills are tied, but the gold is still a 3,000 lead. I'm almost certain this is the biggest lead we've seen at this point so far. Or at least it's tied with what Cloud9 had in game 1.
Yeah, I think Cloud9 would have been pretty similar to that in game 1. They really started out well, but this is not such an early game comp that TL have done it with, and that's why it's so impressive. That's why it is so frightening for Cloud9. You're going up against GP, Aphelios, and Orianna, and you're down 3K early. That is rough. And Cloud9 very likely will have to contest this third dragon. Ocean Soul is not something you can give away lightly whatsoever.
No.
So this is a really tough position because I'm not sure that they have the tools to actually win a team fight right now. As long as CoreJJ stays back from the rest of the squad where he can lantern out whoever Blabber is ulting on, I don't really see how TL lose this fight from this position. There's no threat of a flank from a Karma or anything like that, so unless CoreJJ stacks with the whole team and they all get CC'd by Vulcan, I just don't see it.
And you also don't have the Moonstone power spike for 5v5s because Fudge has gone for the Everfrost build instead.
Oh, here we go.
The Dragon has been started by C9. Team Liquid moving in. Armeo with a turbo Kim tank ready to go, and Vulcan has a massive 4-man initiation. They're trying to get Tactical away, but Blabber is the first to die. Vulcan's about to be the second with Sven into the back line, but nobody else is with them. A double kill for Alfari and a 3-for-0 for Team Liquid. Armeo wants to make it 4. He's gone a little bit deep. Is he too far in? Yes, he is, and Perks will get a return kill. Team Liquid still looking for that 4th one here. Fudge staying alive for the moment. A little bit more damage coming out. They don't quite have enough, and Fudge gets away. So yes, Cloud9 are able to pick up a bonus kill on the back end, but that's all they got. They lost 3, and more importantly, Azael, it's soul point for TL.
It's absolutely huge there for TL. Blabber got close to taking Tactical down, and Vulcan, credit to him, he had a great engagement. Look at this, flash, catches 3-4 there. They get the ulti in onto Tactical, but Exhaust is there. And when you get exhausted as that Nocturne, unless you are monstrously ahead, it's just not going to happen. And you see that the Kaisa came across, but by the time he actually got back there, there was nothing really happening. TL just feel like they have answered what C9 brought to the table in this game. This is the most in control they have been in any of the games, I feel. They are now at Soul Point. I think that they have almost checkmated them at this point in time.
And I remember after we saw these teams already play earlier on during midseason Showdown, afterwards, I believe it was Jat who tweeted, he was like, we didn't play to our potential today. It's very frustrating. We're going back to the drawing board because we know we're better than this. And this Team Liquid, that remember is still playing with a substitute jungler, is really challenging Cloud9 here so far. And I may have just cast or cursed them. Cloud9 get a shutdown on the Team Liquid mid laner.
Very nicely done. They go to the side lanes. 5v5s aren't working. This is more what I expected from their composition, attacking the soul laners as they answer waves, and utilizing the Rel plus Nocturne combo there very well. Alt in, attract and repel stun to follow it up. That buys time for the Fear Tether there, so closing that gap, getting on a Jensen, getting to kill. Critically goes to Perkz as well, who is quietly having a pretty good game here. 2-0 on the Victor, a nice injection of gold for him, and you know, that is the playmaking you have to depend on here if you don't just want to kind of go quietly into the night. But the concern is just 3 minutes until Ocean Dragon, so...
And Serpent's Fang, second item for Alphari. He wants to be able to destroy the shields that Fudge generates.
They know this is happening because they saw TP come in on their ward, but they have no vision on the Baron. And Blabber has no ulti. He's too far. This is just gone, I think.
Yeah, Baron's down to 2k HP. Team Liquid looking to stay on this. Perkz into the Zhonya's. The ulti continues coming down. Baron Nashor goes over to Team Liquid, but now they got to disengage. Vulcan's able to jump in, lock down 3. Damage goes out, but Jensen pops Finn. Perkz is going on a killing spree now. Everybody else from Team Liquid looking to run away because Cloud9 is here to slay. They take down 4, and our Mayo alone can run away.
That is huge for Cloud9. TL committed so much to killing the Baron, they used their Shockwave to combo with Smite to kill the Baron, not realizing that Blabber couldn't get there. And when you commit your #1 team fight tool to securing the Baron prior to the fight, C9 is saying, all right, you got the Baron, but we're gonna get you. And here it is one more time. Blabber far away, no ulti. Watch the Shockwave. They're timing it with the Smite here to secure. It is well done, they secure it, but what about the fight? Armeo is low. Sven, beautiful ulti into the side, just gets deleted by Jensen to be fair, but Perkz running over Alphari there, gets the kill. Blabber was unanswered. It was just too much committed to the Baron.
I like the the grin on Sven's face there. He recognized like, oh man, that's a lot of damage going on over there coming out from Jensen. But okay, so here's the important thing for Team Liquid. Armeo lived. So they still have 1 Baron buff that they can work with here for the next minute and a half. And importantly, that Ocean Soul is online in just over 1 minute. If Team Liquid are able to take the fight and get that for themselves, it is a huge power spike. Also, because look at the inventories of C9. There's no grievous wounds in those inventories just yet. Not that I see, unless I'm just accidentally glossing over something. So that means Ocean Soul versus no grievous turns this game into a whole nother kind of a problem.
Absolutely. I mean, you just can't kill the Udyr. He becomes so impossible to deal with at that point. So, important fight here for both the teams. If TL get it and don't just get wiped, it's going to be massive for them. You can see negative Baron power play there with the Red Bull Baron for TL. Yep. Cloud9 has positioning on this Dragon. The other thing is, TL could just say, all right, you take 1 Dragon that doesn't really do anything for you, we'll take your mid lane tower.
It's 4% regen or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, they don't have to fight it. It's C9 who has got to show up for every single Dragon from now till infinity and be willing to scrap.
Team Liquid clear out the wave, they get it pushing up, and now they move over to contest. They are not willing to surrender this Drake so freely. They know they have powerful team fighting. They've got the Aphelios. Let's see, he's got, okay, so Lifesteal and CC. What Aphelios can bring to the table here with those guns. Team Liquid keeping Armeo close by. Dragon with a partial reset. And now he's mad again. So he's right back out of the pit. 4,000 HP left on the Drake. They're going in. 3,000 HP left. Aphelios ulti not finding a whole lot here, but Vulcan's engaged. Does not find anyone. He's already dead. Now into the back part of the pit. Armeo's going to be taken very low here with a flash back out with a shockwave in, and the Dragon goes over to Sven. Cloud9. They stop the soul for now. It is a 5v4 on the map, but Team Liquid health bars are incredibly compromised.
Critically, Armeo was forced to smite to not die. He had to smite for health because they turned onto him. Sven went into the pit with Blabber and just focused down the Udyr so he could not hold his smite to contest it. That got them the Dragon. Vulcan does go down as the cost, but that is a worthy trade there for Cloud9.
Oh, every time.
I don't think that they were really going to be able to win the fight after there wasn't an effective engage from the Rel, so I think they got the best out of a bad situation. They just sacrificed Vulcan to zone to create space, and they're actually going to have a TP here. They're trying to catch Jensen, but he'll get out. It is a trade, though.
Yeah. TP for TP there. Jensen can escape in time. Perks was not able to close the distance all the way over there, and even if he was, he doesn't have any instant interrupt. Here's another look at this fight where Team Liquid could not get the soul.
So Vulcan did not have flash, so he goes in, he's mostly just buying space. But look at this, Sven into the pit with Armeo, has to smite or he's just gonna die to the damage. The attempted steal with the shockwave, again there from Jensen, that would have been a hero play if he did get it. Was not able to do so, was secured, in fact, by the Kaisa there, I believe in combination with the Nocturne Smite, but I didn't actually even catch if the Nocturne Smite went out.
Either way, man, it's another close game, and I just can't get enough of it. 8-8, 25 minutes in here. Perks 4-0-2 on the Victor, and they're going in to make a play in the mid lane, but once again, Core JJ is always there, exactly as you pointed out earlier.
Yeah.
He hangs out on the periphery. He's never right next to the carry. He's within a Lantern's range, and he can always keep them safe. Armeo gets a little bit of lockdown onto Perks, but Perks just zaps him right in the face and walks away.
We'll be able to push him back. I think they got to stop going for tactical. I'm just going to be honest. You pretty much have to expect that Thresh is behind him. If you don't see Core JJ elsewhere on the map and know for sure, tactical. He's standing behind tactical. This is not a dumb player. He knows what C9 is trying to do, and that's why I think you have to attack the side lanes. He can't be everywhere. If he's defending the Aphelios, he's not defending the Orianna, who is more vulnerable in the side lane, and that's why I would like to see Cloud9 pivot away. I mean, I get that tactical is the prime target. You know, he's the guy you want to go for, but he's got a stopwatch, and he's got a Thresh in his pocket.
Man, this game, 30 seconds until Baron's back on the map here yet again. The first Baron, it's hard to tell who actually came out on top there because, yeah, Team Liquid ends up taking the Baron. They get the bonuses from that. The power play is slightly negative as Cloud9 clean them up afterwards. Hopefully the second will be just as exciting here. As you can see, Alfari is positioned pretty far forward in enemy territory. He will clear out the wards. He'll walk away. Ooh, one barrel down in the brush there.
Big
Team
deal
Liquid
here. As Tactical's got the IE. He's on 3 items now. He is huge at this point.
And stopwatch too. So even if Core JJ isn't there in time, even if they successfully block Lantern, Tactical lives.
Straight to Baron. They're just going to start it up. They know they are strong now. It is spotted.
Okay.
Blabber has ulti.
Blue Trinket already in there. Now we got the control ward placed down in the back part of the pit. I think they're going to try to finish this. Blabber's ready to go in. Blabber steals the Baron! Cloud9's jungler working some miracles. Yes, he dies after the fact, but that was huge for C9. Ulti summoned up. Armeo going in, sidesteps the Everfrost. Needs to try to lock these guys down a little bit harder. Vulcan looks for an interrupt here with some of the CC. Gravity Well placed down once more. Team Liquid won't be able to run these guys down. They will not find any more kills, but they lost their Baron. They force out a flash. Core JJ with a flash death sentence. It will not hit the mark. Team Liquid does not have the smite secure, and there's a reason Blabber got voted the MVP.
This is one of those tough situations as TL where they are starting to get frustrated. They don't have hard engage. So I think they felt like we can't actually turn effectively here, so we gotta commit to the Baron. They make the call. Armeo has been on point with the smites throughout this series, but this one was all Blabber. Gets it for the team, and Cloud9 now run the map with the Baron, which they will also have for this next Dragon, and that sets them up to, again, potentially deny that Ocean Soul. So let's watch it one more time here. They are trying to just finish it off, but there's a pink in the back of the pit. He's got eyes on it, and as soon as he gets vision there on the Udyr, he goes in to finish it off. I wonder if TL could have actually just not given him an ulti because he had no flash. So if you don't actually step up to hit the Baron in melee, he has no one to ult to. He can't get in the pit. I think they could have actually finished it from range. Now that is a really tough thing to recognize and actually execute on, but I think if Armeo doesn't walk up to whack the Baron and stands at max range, the pig does not potentially see him and maybe can't get in the pit.
Okay, the Drake goes over to Cloud9 because of that Baron power spike that you were talking about. Team Liquid doesn't even want to contest it here for this Drake. So C9, they have to stop that soul take 3 times before then they have a shot at the soul. They're at 2 out of 3. That's pretty darn good. They're still down about 3,000 gold, but they still have the Baron here for the next 45 seconds. The Red Bull Baron buff isn't looking too impressive so far, just a plus 880. And now they'll take down the tier 2 turret here in the mid lane, tie up the turret count in the game. And once again, we have a game that could at any point be decided by a single team fight.
And man, I've got to say, C9 gets themselves in these positions where I feel like they've lost the game, but they just do not give up. They keep finding ways to make things happen. It's the same thing, really, that we saw in game number 1, where they whipped this all early game comp, they fell behind, but then it's a 50-minute game where they just never say die, and it feels, again, similar here. And TL are struggling to really force the fights they want, and here goes C9.
Here it is. Blabber into the back line once more. Armeo's going to be the target now, forced to flash and run away. Vulcan with a disengage. Gangplank ulti continues, finding a lot of damage. Stasis keeps Vulcan alive. Shockwave will be flashed away from, and somehow the Cloud9 support gets his way out of that fight. Blabber with a nice spell shield there at the very end, making sure he doesn't get death sentence. And Cloud9, although they don't find any kills on the play, they'll take the tier 2, they'll take the red, and they'll take their leave.
I will say, expensive tier 2, because that is flash of your support. That's your main engage tool. That's his stopwatch. He's not getting that back. That's not being upgraded into a Zonius for Rel. So that's a one-time use, and they get a tier 2 from it. They were nowhere close to killing Tactical, who's building towards a GA now. He still hasn't even had to use the stopwatch. Didn't have to use either summoner. Didn't even have to use exhaust. So they're still in this predicament where I don't really see how you win a reasonable 5v5. It's just so damn hard to do because of the setup that TL have, because of how good their positioning has been, the exhaust being available, etc. So Cloud9 have got to find picks, or they have got to capitalize on mistakes from TL.
Current state of the game, so close. I feel like as we move forward, it just gets closer and closer and closer. We're not seeing either one of the squads build that lead further. We're seeing whoever's behind just find more ways and different machinations to bring themselves back in. We've got 1 minute and 45 seconds until the Baron, 2 minutes and 25 seconds until that next Drake. C9 have to defend it one more time for not much of a prize until it comes down to that soul point contest yet again. Remember, both previous games in this series have gone to a 3 versus 3 Drake state. They're just...
That's insane.
Keeping up with the bar they've already set.
Yep. Par for the course. These control mages are getting so strong. Death cap complete for both. Perks a little bit ahead as far as the itemization does go. He has the Blighting Jewel there, the first part of that Void Staff. I mean, Victor has gotten to the point where this is one-shot territory.
Yeah.
And you face those late-game Victors, it can be shocking, especially if he goes towards, Lichbane last item or that sort of style. But even without it, with this much AP under the belt, it can be nasty. E auto plus the R on top of that can just be your dead from full. So it is really, really scary, but the same is true of that shockwave. So both teams are really walking this knife's edge. Tactical still ahead as far as the itemization goes there. He completes the GA, which is big for denying the dive. Maybe they don't even go for him at this point, but Jensen has a stopwatch. That makes him really tough to go for as well. And we're waiting for Sven to complete the IE before I would say he's really kind of on par with his counterpart on the other side.
Man, this game. Cloud9 clearing out the vision from their own territory, teleporting in now, making sure everybody's on the map at the same point. Perks has rejoined the rest of the team. Item completed. Void Staff is done. There is nowhere that is safe from the damage Perks can bring to this table. He is the one man on the Rift in this game 33 minutes later, still deathless. And he's got his Zonius to keep preventing that.
At this point of the game, if you're Blabber, I almost feel like you just try to use your ultimate to obscure vision and zone people back. There's no chance you're going to kill Tactical anymore on your own. Like that window has closed.
He's got Guardian Angel. It's just, it can't happen.
And Exhaust, and you're not even forcing summoners anymore. So at this point, I think it's pretty much like you ult towards him to make them back up, and you try to buy time for Zved and Perks to just kill off the front line.
Tense stalemate here in the mid lane. The Drake is about to spawn in about 15 seconds. It's still Team Liquid on Soul Point. They'll move down into the river first. They'll get Scuttle Crab control. Important because of the speed boost and the irremovable vision, unremovable vision, whatever that word is supposed to be. Team Liquid still having that pit. Still have the prio. A little bit of poke throws out there. Cloud9 are ready to contest here. They know they can't give it away.
Fast.
You didn't defend it twice to give it away on the third one. Team Liquid onto the Drake. Vulcan here into the fight. Beautiful shockwave on 3, but is it enough? Yes, it is. Team Liquid with a double kill here for the top lane. Perks dies for the first time. Sven wants to kite it out, but it will not happen, not today. Alfari's got the auto attack. Alfari's got the triple kill. Dragon be damned. Jensen shockwave, 1 game 3.
Team Liquid finally find their fight. They've had the advantage for so long, and Cloud9 can hold on no longer. TL marching down mid.
Team Liquid with the late game team fight with a team fight comp. Marching into the enemy base. They're on Nexus turrets. This was another hard-fought win. Vulcan is back alive, but no one else will be able to join him. He's trying to stop minions, but that's not gonna do a damn thing. It's Team Liquid taking game 3 and taking us to match point.
What a game. 3 back-to-back, absolutely tightly contested games here. Such an evenly matched series we have been gifted with here today, and TL got themselves into an incredible position early. They created advantages that were just so tough for Cloud9 to deal with. I've got to give incredible amounts of credit to the bot lane of TL. 2v2 advantage, tanked multiple Nocturne ults, even getting flashes off of the Nocturne without having to really use much of anything themselves. And they were stronger in the 5v5. I don't think Tactical ever really died to Nocturne in any of these sort of fights. It was just so well played. It took them a while to close it out because of the fact that they didn't have hard engage. They didn't have the ability to start fights. So it had to be forcing around objectives, waiting for Cloud9 to come to you, absorbing the engage, and then winning the fight. And they were able to do that in the end.
Such good fighting from Team Liquid there. That last team fight, the Jensen Shockwave, Alfari popping off with a big Gangplank ulti, and then the follow-up to guarantee there was no defense for Cloud9. And now Team Liquid will lead this series 2-1. They only have to win one more game to get their 5th LCS title and to book their trip to MSI.
The pressure is on for Cloud9. They won last year in spring, did not get to attend MSI. We're incredibly disappointed about that, and they are one game away from missing out here again. Team Liquid also with their own struggles. No Santorin.
Yeah.
No problem, apparently. Mayo is stepping up.
This is with a substitute jungler. I don't know how far this cord stretches.
You're on the edge. You're on the edge.
Is with a substitute jungler. Pretty impressive stuff that we're seeing here so far.
Yeah, I mean, he has really stepped up. Across 2 series now, Mayo has not been disappointing whatsoever. It's so impressive to be able to step into a team with very little practice, to be able to deliver on an incredibly high level, replacing a jungler who is one of the absolute best in the league for a lot of years. I mean, it speaks volumes about the composure that he has, and TL as a whole to not be shaken by this is really looking good, and they're really looking poised to potentially take the series.
Team Liquid have answered Cloud9 with another win of their own, and we are soon going to be tossing things to the analyst desk for another breakdown right after this.
And even Turtle is getting 2v2 kills and absolutely going off as well. So there are a lot of things that have to go right for... There's one of them. Sign. Are you going to lend the P1 Pigeon over to Cloud9 to help out the reverse sweep?
I told him to go to the Cloud9 side to bless Cloud9 players. Hopefully he can give us some good luck, and we can see this reverse sweep happen.
There you go.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. A quick stroll down memory lane to the LCS Pigeon. We added to the animal collection of the LCS just yesterday with the deer itself here at the beautiful Greek Theater here in Los Angeles.
I had a moth come at me real hard during one of the segments. I don't know if you noticed because I'm such a professional, but I did.
I didn't.
Okay.
Dude, I feel like there's an agenda here being out in the Greek is that we're actually just finding the pigeon. That's what we're doing.
Now,
we're out here in the wilderness searching for it.
We had that hawk, too, in the teaser. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we are. 2-1 now stands the series score between Team Liquid and Cloud9. We keep trudging ahead, and the games keep delivering on every level. Raz, we've been hammering draft from game to game to game, but I think more so in this series than any we've seen so far. At least from my perspective, a lot of the drafts seem disconnected from each other. Normally in a best of 5, we can kind of track from game to game. Oh, okay, here's what they identified as the problem and maybe why they're making the change they're making. But each time these teams are coming out with some really interesting stuff that in some ways seems disconnected from the past.
Different in every way, and I think a lot of the time it comes to how flexible these teams are, that they feel like if they see different bans coming at them, that they can change on a dime. This one being the Nocturne pick, I felt it was a good flex. It could go top lane, jungle. I was thinking it was going to go mid, like there was an opportunity for that. I think the concern here is that when you see the Karma pick coming in as a response to the GP because of the laning phase, my concern is who is your dive buddy then? I know we were talking about that, Mark, was like, if the Nocturne does go, past the front line into the back line, be it the AD carry here in Aphelios, well, you're already going into a GP that's going to, and an Orianna that's literally there to zone and back away your back line if you were to dive straight through. So if you don't have an easy dive buddy with you, you're isolated, you die pretty quickly. That was my concern.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. When you look at the TL comp, they have so much peel and kite back. You know, even the Thresh and the Aphelios a little bit can lay down things that make it hard for a team to follow up on. And Victor can sometimes just kind of throw a laser and an ult at a team fight, but it is really hard to actually walk forward and follow up. And it did make it so that Sven was kind of the guy who was like, well, I guess I press R and try and jump in to help you.
Yeah.
And he did try and do that sometimes, but he also got deleted sometimes when he did that. And so I understood why he was kind of going in and taking riskier ults because he kind of had to in this comp.
The big pick for me here is the Thresh. I feel like in a lot of other regions, and obviously this is on 11-6, but I still think it holds true to 11-5. Thresh is such a key component of a composition depending on what AD carry you want to pick, right? So Thresh is what enables an Aphelios to be picked. Thresh is what enables something like a Jinx to be picked because you just have so much peel and it gives that duo lane so much agency. I think we saw that here, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Thresh fell all the way through in draft 2 because they picked it up here. It was able to stop the Nocturne several times. It was able to get lane priority in the bot lane, which ended up transferring into a first Drake for TL as well. So the Thresh was a massive pick here, and I really want to see how both teams respond to how well Thresh performed.
Yeah, over and over, it was Thresh pulling Aphelios to safety. It's a highlight reel of a different kind than the hooks going out and starting the fights. This one more defensively oriented. But Raz, I think we have to talk about the fact that all 3 games now have once again started in the exact same way.
And you know what's interesting to me? If remember you like wake up for the weather report and you're just saying, oh, this place, that's insanely hot. You're getting like 110 degrees or something. That's deep breath. I want to see the heat map of this one, of where the kills are going for the first 5 minutes of the game. Because that is a bloody top lane, and Alfari's not approving.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's just an area where, like, you have to imagine how if Santorum was even in here, because I feel like it's really impressive that TL are still winning these games despite kind of getting in a hole in the top side every single game where there's 2v2 miscoordinations that you are not surprised to see, given that Armeo is stepping in to do this. You know, times where he's trying to hold the wave for his top laner, end up dying there. In the first game, he got flashed on top of. Like, these are kinds of things that even despite these small mistakes, he recovers on an individual level and TL recovers as a team.
Yeah, like that one was, him dying in that situation was just really bad. But like that is just flatly, this makes no sense. But the other ones, that was my concern coming into today. Ultimately, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're an experienced jungler or whoever, if you're getting plopped into a team 1 week before the finals, you're going to have some miscommunication with your team. Now, this goes back to just the ultimate goals of this team fight. If the GP ultimate goes down, Thresh is going to be there with the Lantern. Nocturne gets isolated like we've mentioned coming into this. That is my issue with the draft, was basically if you just don't get the kill on the Aphelios, doesn't matter how low he gets, there's no way to reach right back in there. The Kai'Sa does try at the tail end when he realized that the fight was already over. You might as well try. But just to illustrate what we were talking about getting into this one.
I mean, yeah, and so again, it plays into this idea that, you know, intelligent drafting out of Team Liquid has once again dug them out of a small hole built in the early game by the aggression of Cloud9. And I guess my question to you, Emily, would be, if we now cast our minds back to the way that Cloud9 has approached every single game with the focus toward the top side, is that even the right way to be playing into Team Liquid? Sure, you're building a lead, but it's not converting into a victory at this point.
I mean, I would say that a lot of it is more on execution error on C9 than anything else. One thing I do want to point out, though, in this game is more than a single point of execution that we can point to. Like, for example, in game one, you know, when Blabber ended up getting picked off in the top side that transferred into different stuff for TL. I think here you saw TL have a really good bot side focus. They were able to get an early Drake, again, off of bot lane priority. This is a team that I've said is so much more comfortable working with prio bot than prio top. So, I mean, that kind of supports your argument. If you're diving top over and over again, and Alfari is on something like a GP where he's still going to be able to contribute late anyway, yeah, it might not be the best game plan, actually.
Right, and then at the end of the day, Mark, all of these games have found themselves extending to the later game. We've seen them ending around Elder Dragon fights, 30, 40 minutes into game time, and at that point, again, it does seem that Team Liquid has the upper hand.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking a lot about this from Team Liquid's perspective, but there was a Baron that was taken where they, you know, ended up killing 4 members of Team Liquid for C9.
Baron,
you know, like, there were still chances for C9 in this game, but it did come down to kind of that final Dragon team fight for where they were able to run away with the game. So I still think, you know, you see some of this better team fighting out of Team Liquid. And a lot of it does come down to their drafts being a little bit better at actual 5v5 and having more cohesive visions on how they're going to function.
Yeah, and so I think taking a step back and looking at how difficult it can be to team fight, that is my new goal for Cloud9. I want them to pick a draft or composition that just makes it so it's a really direct front-to-back team fight comp. Going back to what Emily said about Thresh, I think in general maybe they didn't really think about the Thresh when they were picking Nocturne for jungle, simply because it is just so difficult. If you're going for the initial pick, I know I talked about the zoning tools of the Orianna ultimate that Jensen just wiped the enemy team with, or the GP ulti, but then you just save your AD carry with a Lantern. Like that, it's just, it makes it so difficult for the Nocturne to play.
And it's not like, I'm going to say this, it's not like TL don't have holes, right? Like, I feel like both teams are making execution mistakes that the other can capitalize on. There were a few times, for all that I said, TL's timing on early objectives in this game was good. I felt like they could have, for example, leveraged 4th Drake to get something else in the game. So, I mean, there are a lot of holes for both teams to pick on, and having a more easily executable draft, especially in terms of team fighting, is always an advantage.
We just got to look at a couple of the players making their way back to the booths to set up for this 4th game. And Mark, as we are at the first time within this series where the series can be decided with a victory here for the side of Team Liquid, I want to call up a matchup that we have talked about time and time again. 2 absolutely star players Jensen and Perks. Jensen, a longtime mainstay of the North American side of things. Perks brought over with the explicit goal of taking a domestic title and extending that to international for Cloud9. Let's talk about these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of them have had really good games when you look at each one. You know, game 1 for Jensen, huge performance, able to carry a lot of those fights. Game 2 and 3, I'd say, even though, you know, not always the scoreline which I thought Perks was playing those really, really well. There was a fight in this game in the Drake pit where his ER combination was like literally the only reason that they were able to not get wiped in that situation. So I think both of them are stepping up, but Perks has been brought over to kind of be the focal point for C9 in a lot of ways. And he's the superstar. He has all the experience, and I think he's the kind of player that you would turn to with your back against the wall here to kind of jumpstart you in the next game.
That's the thing. I remember when at the very beginning, at the first game, at the tail end of it, I was saying, you know, run it back with Seraphine.
Yeah.
Dash said something that like lit something in me. You want to put Perks on Seraphine?
Yeah. No.
Like,
I mean, come on.
he's your playmaker.
Yeah.
He's what's going to get
Where's
you the goal.
Where's the Yone? Where's the silence?
When he said that, I was like, you know what? I agree. Like, in the sense that I think Oriana and Victor, all these things, at least you give him the ability to fight. I mean, ability to call his own plays, to decide a team fight. Like Jensen decided the team fight with his Oriana ultimate. So I agree with walking away from the Seraphine, even though I would see it as an objectively strong pick. So it comes down to two players who are doing insanely well today and will decide the series.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I actually thought his play on the Seraphine was still, like, really good. Like, I thought he was able to control team fights. He only got blown up, if I remember correctly, once, immediately in a team fight. But to your point, yes, you probably want him on something with a little bit more agency to do damage in fights.
And he's got a tough task because Jensen has played well in his own matchup.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a lot of control mages, but that Ori versus Victor game that just happened, you know, both of them were oftentimes the biggest playmakers in those team fights.
Yeah, and Raz, I'll also point out, as we do find out that C9 will be hopping back to blue side, and we got yet another look at Blabber sitting down at his setup. This is the Honda MVP. He got it for a reason. And while he's had solid performances throughout the day, generating leads for his team, we haven't yet seen that kind of game from Blabber where he takes it from minute 1 and runs it all the way to the Nexus kill.
Especially after the last game, where he's the one on the Nocturne, and he's finding himself being basically thrown into the wolves. He's going to be the one to speak up. He's going to be the one that wants to have, like, the Hecarim pick, or maybe even casting ourselves right back to the last time they played them where it's the Renekton Nidalee, right? Essentially, he's going to be the one that's being vocal on what he wants so he can succeed.
Well, I'll remind everyone again that it was Team Liquid that stumbled against Cloud9 earlier in this postseason, and now they are on the precipice of turning it all around. We'll see if Team Liquid can take the win as well as the lead, or rather the series itself, in our next game, as we are just one game away from crowning our first ever midseason Showdown champs, or heading to Silver Scrapes. We'll see you in Game 4 right after this.